Welcome back, everybody. Excited today to have Brendan Doyle from US Sport Camps, Nike Sport Camps on. So, Brendan, appreciate you hopping on as we head into 2025, and it's ripping and running already.
Yeah, no, happy to be here. Happy to chat.
Yeah, we've been on a youth sports tear lately. We've had a bunch of your colleagues and friends on from I-9 and SFC and the whole 9 yards of a bunch more. But give us a quick rundown on who you are, what you guys are doing, and where you fit into the space, and we'll start to take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, I came to the US in 1986 to coach soccer on a summer camp. So to me, it's wild that in 2025, I'm still working in the summer camp space. And for
So you
most of
you
my
came here before we even had MLS, and now you're about to get a World Cup in a year. So I know you're pretty excited about that.
exactly, well, this will be my second World Cup while I've been
That's true. That
here.
is true.
Which is amazing. Like when you think of where soccer was at in 86 when I first came here. So I've been lucky enough to be involved, especially in the sport of soccer and youth soccer for so many years and to see the growth in the US. So, I love sports, not just soccer, all sports. And, I love what we do at US sports camps. And, US sports camps to me is purely about creating best in class camp experiences for kids. We don't operate our camps, it's a partnership, relation based company, and it's been going for 50 years. We have a very strong space, and I think people trust what we do and trust the fact that we pick really good partners to run camps in whatever sport it may be. That is so important to us, and the key to what we do is picking the right partners who will run a tremendous, safe, fun camp for the kids and bring a passion to whatever sport it is.
Yeah, very cool. And what got you into camps to start with? How did you even fall in that space? It seems like you've been in it basically your entire time in the U.S.
Yeah, no, as I said, I studied sports science at university many, many years ago, and we covered all sports and performance and that type of thing. So it was a good hunting ground for people who needed coaches for camps in the summer. So I headed out to the US with like 5 or 6 friends from university in 86 and literally never been to America before and arrived and coached soccer camp for 6 weeks. And the whole experience was mind blowing. The American culture for going to camp and what camp was about. It was soccer camp, but it wasn't obviously just about soccer. And I loved it. And then came back over a number of years. And then in the mid 90s, 3 of my friends had started a soccer coaching business called UK Elite Soccer. I was back in Europe at the time, living in Spain and still doing some playing. And I came back out here in the mid 90s and started working with them and became a principal owner with those guys of that company and stayed with UK Elite Soccer for over 20 years. And that business was acquired in 2013. I stayed on working as the chief operating officer for the new ownership group, Steel Sports, for another 4 years. And then I went into New York City to work for Relevant Sports Group, which is a media company, to work on the International Champions Cup. So that was whenever you see the big pro soccer clubs coming in pre-season to the US, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester United, Barcelona was putting on those games. And I did that for 4 years, traveled all over the world, putting on those games. And then that side of the business was cut with the pandemic. 2020, everything was cancelled. So I got approached to come in and work for US sports camps by the CEO, president at the time, Justin Hoveler. They'd just been acquired by private equity and wanted to build up again after the pandemic. And so I came in to head up soccer for US sports camps, Nike sports camps, and did that for 3 years and then became president as Justin Hoveler moved to become CEO of our parent company, Youth Enrichment Brands, which has over the last 4 years grown. So I became president of the company and, working through all the sports. And yeah, it's a amazing setup, amazing company to work for. I
Yeah.
really love the culture around the summer camps in the US, whatever the sport is. Love kids playing sport from the youngest age groups possible, grassroots level to, elite ID camps. It's a great business and great to be a part of it.
Yeah. So what's like how many sports, how many states, what's the sort of overview now? I know it's quite a few. If you go on the website, you can get overwhelmed fairly
Yeah,
quickly with how much is there.
yeah. Now we have uh, 24 sports that we do, and we do it in all 50 states in the US. We do it in 6 provinces in Canada through our partners, our business, Sports Camps Canada, based in Toronto. And then we have a business that has the Nike Sports Camp license in the UK and Europe called CMT Learning Euro Sports Camps. So we have that business in the UK as well. So across all our summer camp businesses, we had about 240,000 kids on camp this summer.
Well,
We operated 4,200 camp weeks. Well, we didn't operate, our partners operated. And that is the key to the business. We could never operate all that. I know.
so when you say operate, right, just for other people to get context and understanding, you guys are essentially the top of the funnel, attracting people to come to the camps, and then you have the partners that are actually running them. And then there's, rev splits, or what's like the actual camp model. I think a lot of people start to get strung up on this stuff.
Yeah, the easiest way to see our camp model. It's not the only model, but the easiest way is when we partner with college coaches. So pick a college soccer coach. They have the connection to amazing facilities at their campus, but it's their core business is their team and recruiting their team and their student athletes when they have them. So they don't want to spend all their time thinking and worrying about all the obstacles you have to overcome to run a best in class summer camp. So that's where we partner. We become the camp management system. So the kids can register on our site. We do all the marketing, driving everyone to the funnel to register for the different types of camps. We work with the coaches on compliance, the insurance side of things. We get all the product for the camp. So basically, the coach just has to do what the coach wants to do, run a great camp in their sport, make sure the kids have a fun, safe camp experience where they're building on their skill development at the same time and creating a passion for the kids. And the biggest test for me is we want the kids to want to come back, and you mentioned before we were talking about these podcasts, perfect for the car ride. That's what we want. The car ride home from camp is the kids to be excited to go back the next day and to go back the next week or the next year and to say they had a great time. So to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and so now from organization structure, so you have the partners, like
Mm-hmm.
the coaches running the camps, you
Yeah.
guys putting them on, and then you mentioned there's a group, Youth Enrichment Brands, that owns you. What else do they sort of have under their
Yeah.
portfolio?
Yeah, so Youth Enrichment Brands, when it started in 2020, was just US sports camps, and since then we have added I9 Sports. You had Matt Karosky on here a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, who's the president of I9 Sports. We have Streamline Brands, which is a roll up of learn to swim schools all over the US. Both of these are franchise businesses. And then we have School of Rock, which is, the big music lessons and performance school. And they're in 30 nations around the world as well as the US. So all of that together, we have had over 1 million kids on our platform, whether it be for swim school, leagues with I'm playing, camps with us, or music performance or schooling with School of Rock. We've had over 1 million participants in 2024. And we just want to keep that message strong for best-in-class partners, best-in-class franchisees, people running best-in-class programs, and kids learning and having a great time. And happy, healthy kids, to me, is what it's all about. Healthy body, healthy mind, whether it's playing sports or music or going to school. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, when you guys are looking through partners, I'm sure you get approached by a lot. How do you evaluate that, or what's your criteria to select or onboard new ones? Just
Yeah,
as we have a big youth sports listening base, I'm sure there's people thinking, oh, maybe there's a partnership here, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I mean, it's quite the process. We want, as I've mentioned before, best in class coaches in the different sports, best in class directors. We want people who have a local or national following, because we then, for Nike sports camps, we want to wrap the Nike swoosh around the camps and market it. And that's a big burden and a big partnership to carry, is making sure we live up to the Nike standards. And that has been so important to us over the last 30 years. And that's why finding the right partners and making sure they're good partners is the foundation of the business. So yeah, people who, have a great following, whether it's a college coach or a local club coach or a local high school coach who has a huge following in a certain area, are all, great partners for us. And then, we evaluate the camps, and we evaluate them through constant surveys and reviews from the parents, from the kids, and then we work with the camp operators. If we see weaknesses in the camp structure, we work on that for the next week, or the next year coming back to camp. And then if the partners don't live up to our high standards, then we look for new partners in those areas.
And from a camp lens, obviously you see a bunch from all the different companies in the space, from camps themselves. Any gaps or opportunities you see, whether it's through technology or shared services or anything? We also get a lot of entrepreneurs and people looking for their next big ideas. Just curious if you've seen any gaps or things that can be improved that aren't competitive to you, but maybe adjacent.
Yeah, like it's funny because nationally we don't have lots of competition that you can pinpoint. Who else is doing 240,000 kids on camp? It's not. But regionally, there's amazing camps everywhere, and we don't get the chance to partner with all of the amazing camp directors and coaches. I think that the biggest game changer that we bring is the market. And, regional camps will generally market to their own database, send a few flyers, few emails a year trying to push people, do some local sort of guerrilla marketing type advertising. And we'll take that to the next level. And we want our partners to continue doing their local marketing, but we'll provide them with assets to do that, whether it's for social media or flyers, whatever they want. Our marketing team will put that together and get them out. So we will then hit the area in the region on a sort of higher level and drive people in. We'll have partners who do local camps in New York State, and since partnering us, we'll have 10 kids from Florida on the camp, kids from the West Coast on the camp, just because our reach and our funnel is driving people to the website, then driving people to the sport they want, and then people picking areas of the country where they live or where they'll be in the summer if they're visiting somewhere else and want the kids to have a camp experience, something different while they're away. So I think from our perspective, the marketing and also the compliance and the background checks, which is super, super important in the world we live in. And you can't afford to take any risks. We have a full-time risk management team who deal with all our compliance and working with our camp directors and operators to make sure that everything is buttoned up and they have background checks on everyone. They're not taking any risks with levels of insurance, all of that type of thing.
Makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into these things that people
Yeah.
don't realize. I'm curious you've been doing this for a little bit. How have you seen the camp space change, or has it stayed relatively similar, or what has the evolution looked like, whether from the athlete side, the parent side, from the operator side, from your side?
Now, are you talking from my first experience in '86 or over the more recent times?
Yeah, I mean, I think camps, from what you maybe knew them as to where they're at today, I'm sure there's a lot of improvements, but I'm sure there's just some changes too that maybe aren't as positive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, for years running soccer camps, we would be able to run a soccer camp like on a soccer field with three porta johns, and parents had dropped the kids off, and we'd have a great time with the soccer side of things and working with the kids. I think, I know the soccer space the best, but generally, I think nowadays parents love to drive into a campus, whether it could be a university or school campus, it could be an athletic sporting complex campus. But parents like to drive into somewhere and drop their kids off and know that their kids are in a really safe environment. And our philosophy is putting great coaches together with great facilities, and then giving that our stamp of approval, as it were, doing all the background work to make that a really good camp experience. So I think that's the biggest change I've seen. Running a camp on a field next to a public park was okay in the 80s and the 90s. I just don't see it as being okay anymore, just because of the world we live in. And to me, my kids have grown up now and are working in corporate America themselves. But I think when I was a parent dropping my kids off at camp, it was great before you go to work to drive in somewhere, drop them off, see friendly staff who know the names of the kids, getting them out the cars and getting them onto a day, and then not having to worry about it again until you pick your kids up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5, whatever it may be. And then, getting the kids hot and sweaty back in the car, and they've had a lot of fun and they're tired at the end of the day. I was like, sign me up for this again.
Yeah. And have you seen any change over the last few years just with the implementation of NIL, name, image, and likeness, and just even the approach of parents or athletes of how they're treating these camps, especially I'm sure on the college ones themselves?
Yeah. I mean, I think coming out of the pandemic, there was huge change. In 2020, we did no business. There were no Nike camps, and we could have done some camps in certain parts of the country where you didn't need to follow the rules as much as other parts of the country, but we didn't do. Our decision was made as from a USSC perspective and a Nike perspective, that we wouldn't do any camps that year. So we bounced back in 2021. So we've probably doubled in numbers since 2021. I think when we first got back, a lot of smaller camp companies didn't run again for a couple of years. So, the market was much more open and less competitive than it had been. It wasn't easy to put on camps with all the compliance coming out of COVID, and overnight camps went away for a few years and they're coming back now. But I think 23 and then 24, definitely, it's not just camp companies are back after the pandemic, but there's a lot of new companies in the market who, as you've talked about before, and in podcasts past, the private equity money coming into the youth sports space. It's big business. People are trying to look at investing in different ways and see youth sports as a whole new world of investment. So, yeah, I think it's changed. There's still a lot of specialization for people. There's still a lot of travel teams and clubs, whether like our biggest three sports at US sports camps are soccer, basketball, and volleyball. And all three of those sports are heavily team based, and the kids are trying out for teams and traveling for tournaments and all that type of thing. But I think our camps are seen separate to that. It gives people a chance to move away from the stresses of your teams, always trying to impress your coaches and get as much playing time as possible, to go and work on your skill building and have fun and make friends and relax in a camp atmosphere where you're playing your sport but not worrying about winning games and winning playing times.
Yeah, no, it's certainly been interesting the last few years. Now, heading into 2025, what got you excited? What are you paying attention to? What's on, the roadmap for U.S. sport camps as you're now 50 years in, which is incredible, right? For any business to last that long, it's
Yeah.
always so cool.
No, amazing journey. I think 1975 there was one camp in Lake Tahoe, and in 2024 we had 1,785 camps for Nike sports camps. 167,000 kids participated in that portion, the Nike sports camp. So we want to keep doing more sports, more camp offerings with our best partners, and helping our partners build their camp businesses. That's ideal. And then at the same time, welcoming new partners into the partnership with USSC and Nike sports camps, and doing more and more. People, I think once people trust something, they want more of it. And, we look a lot at segmentation, like splitting the younger kids from the older kids, doing girls only camps and really trying to get more girls playing sports, removing obstacles that stand in the way of girls either playing sports or staying in sports. That's a really big thing for Nike, and it's a really big thing for Nike sports camps. And we had close to 400 camps last year that were girls only, female staffed camps. And I think those camps create an incredible atmosphere for passion for the sport and girls wanting to stay in and play in the sports, which I think is super important.
Yeah. And I know it's called U.S. sport camps, but do you guys have any international? I think you mentioned the UK one, but are there any? I don't know. We'll see what happens politically, but it looks like, Canada, Greenland, we might have a bigger U.S. here soon anyway, but do you see expansion?
Yeah, we do a lot in Canada with Sports Camps Canada. And then, as I said, in 2024, February 2024, we acquired a camp company in the UK that does all the Nike sports camps over there. So we're doing a lot of work together. They bring kids in from all over the world. They do a lot of sports camps and English as a second language camps as well. So yeah, they're very, very international camps. They don't do as many sport offerings as we do, but that's something we look at. We look at trips for teams from the US over to our UK base. They work with pro clubs, a couple of the big Nike pro clubs, Liverpool and Chelsea on the soccer side in the UK, run all their camps with them. So that's a lot of fun. Something we did before the pandemic and we haven't got back to yet is creating some big sites that run 4 to 6 weeks. And within those sites, you can then have the opportunity for kids to come in overseas for an extended amount of time, and do 4 to 6 weeks on a site. Weekends do their sightseeing trips and that type of thing, and in the week take part in different Nike sports camps. And to me, the best of what we offer at Nike sports camps is when we have a fantastic site and it offers a load of different sports. And it's not like the kids are playing tennis one day and playing soccer the next. They're on Nike tennis camp or Nike golf camp. But, there's 300 kids on the campus all playing sports. So in the evening, you can do some real good fun stuff with a big group of kids. And there's always the greatest atmosphere on those type of camps. So those big regional camps are a lot of fun.
What are the best places to learn more? Website, socials, where can people get the lowdown, sign their kids up for camps, or look to do other stuff?
USsportscamps.com, the website. We're always working on the website to make the user experience easier and better so people can get to where they want to get to faster. And, it's always great to have a look at Youth Enrichment Brands, yeb.com, with the other groups. It's great to be a part of that community, and we work very closely together across the different companies within that, because we're all trying to attract the same families into, whether it be for camp or like I9 Sports for the leagues and coaching during the week, or the swimming, teaching your kids to swim, or School of Rock on the music side. Like, these are just things that attract kids from the same families who have different passions and different interests.
I love it. Well, awesome, Brent. I appreciate you coming on, and super cool what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's good to chat.
Likewise.